But anyway, let's talk about taking photos of eagles. Eagles are really cool. Love seeing them. And there's plenty around here where I live. Just need to know where to go look for them, and this is one of the locations. So if you're taking pictures of any birds, the eagles are a little bit easier because they will soar and not flap their wings as much. But essentially your goal, taking a picture of any bird in action, is a fast shutter speed. And my camera has a really cool feature. It's a higher end camera, and I've got a video, I'll put it up in the top right, on how to set your fast shutter speed. I really need to remake that. It's kind of corny, but it has the gist of what you need to do. But I can set my camera to a minimum shutter speed of 1/1000th of a second or 2/1000ths of a second, and use aperture priority. I can leave ISO on auto if I like, but typically if I know I'm going to be getting pictures of birds and I want that fast shutter speed and I want a little depth of field, so I want to be at maybe f4, f6.5, in that range. And that gives me a little bit of forgiving range on depth of field. So I'll set my ISO to 1000, maybe 1600. My camera can handle that just fine. And set my camera to aperture priority and let it adjust the shutter speed. And I do the higher ISO so I can handle those faster shutter speeds. Now remember, I said my camera lets me set a minimum shutter speed to 1/1000. So then the question I'm sure many of you have, what if my camera doesn't have that feature to set a minimum aperture or a minimum shutter speed? What if my camera doesn't have that setting? Well, that same video that I linked before, I'll put it again up here. That same video from before talks about what to do if I don't have that setting. Well, I like to shoot in aperture priority because I can set a minimum shutter speed. But if I can't, then I will switch to shutter priority. And I'll let the aperture adjust. And I'll definitely put my ISO around 1600, maybe even 3200. That way I'll get a smaller aperture, or a larger number, which is a smaller aperture, to maintain that depth of field. You can probably see part of the Oxbow trail. There's a bird flying, not an eagle though. I can't really tell what it is, but definitely not an eagle. This is home to a lot of birds. I hear some geese. Geese are always here, of course. Geese are everywhere around here. All right, let's get some pictures of the Oxbow. All right, good little droney. That's far enough. Looks like some ducks or geese along there. We'll come back and take a picture. We're just gonna do a quick flyby. Welcome to the Oxbow. Look at that, there's a picture of a bald eagle on the sign. And you can see they got some blue herons, some photos of ducks, all kinds of flowers. There's some beavers, egrets. I call those dragonflies. They call them damselflies, or wood duck. But what is Oxbow Incorporated? You can check that out. Do have a website. Do they have their website on here? I don't think so. I think it's oxbowinc.org. Either way, I'll put a text on the screen what the actual web address is. And you can see here's Oxbow Lake. Here's Jackpot Pond that we're looking at. We're standing right here. That's the Osprey Lake I kept talking about. We have Juno Pond, Mercer Pond. This is the entrance to 275, and this is Kentucky and Ohio River. Now the Oxbow technically goes up past here. There's a great view up here. A lot of eagles here too. There's a small bridge called the Lost Bridge, and it's, not sure if there was a cool bridge there before, but now it's pretty modern. But if you hang out there, you'll see some eagles. But most of the eagles I've seen when I've come here have been around Jackpot Pond right here. The problem with eagles, other than the immatures, they like to park their self on a branch and they'll sit. They'll just sit. They won't move. The white head gives them away. The immatures, ones that are 2 or 3 years or younger, tend to fly around a little bit more. But they don't have the big white head on them yet, so they're harder to recognize as eagles. Alright, we're gonna get the camera out, because if I see an eagle, I'm gonna panic to get my camera out fast enough. Not only is it not out yet, it's not ready. Not only is it not out yet, it's not ready to take pictures of eagles. I have not set any of the settings that I talked about before. So let's set this down somewhere. A little dust on my lens. Handy dandy professional lens cloth. And as I said, I like aperture priority for my bird photography. I'm going to go to my settings, set my shutter speed to be no slower than 1/1000th of a second. We will set my ISO to about, let's do 1600. While that might seem fast, that's what I want. Let's see, I want 10 meters to infinity for focus. Unlock the lens. And I've got a setting from previous where it's going to do exposure bracketing, and I do not want exposure bracketing. Shut that off. It's one of the things I've said many times, to always set your camera back to automatic if you're a beginner, because if you play with settings like I just did and you forget, you may miss a shot. Got a couple birds coming. Glad I got my camera out. Don't know what they are. Not eagles. Hard to catch them. I still had another setting I forgot. It was a 2-second timer. I pushed a button and nothing. It took 2 seconds. All right, let's do this again. Let's set that to high-speed shutter. Turn it back on. Did get the picture. See if I can see what those birds are. very well could have been two eagles. Their wing structure looks right, so maybe they'll come back. Let's get this picture of this poor little guy. He was food for somebody. I guess the eagles have got to eat, right? The eagles have got to eat. All right, I'm almost back, and I'm about 0.9 miles from where I started. So if you like my content, hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the notification if you like that. Don't hit it if you don't. But do me a favor, hit the subscribe and like, leave me a comment. What part of the video did you like? And what would you like to see me go to next? This is Doug Gabbard, practicing photography, trying to get better, one photo at a time.